1849, the California Gold Rush. Gold. On the morning of January 24, 1848, James Marshall went to inspect the new mill his crew was building. In the mill's water, he spotted something shiny. He collected several pieces and showed his crew. They tasted the pieces. It was gold. 4 days later, Marshall went to show John Sutter, who owned the mill. Sutter had no wish to be overrun with gold hunters. Everyone agreed to keep the secret. Gold had been discovered in California. Keeping a secret. In 1848, the world was very different from today. There were no phones, TVs, or radios. There were no roads or railroads connecting California with the states in the East. It was harder to get a message from the East Coast to California than it is to get a message to Mars today. At the time of Marshall's discovery, California belonged to Mexico. 9 days later, Mexico signed a treaty that gave California to the United States. Neither side knew about the gold. The secret got out when Sam Brannan found out. Brannan had a store at Sutter's Fort, where John Sutter lived. Brannan wanted to cash in when he heard the news, but he wasn't interested in mining. Instead, he bought all the shovels in San Francisco. Then he filled a bottle with gold dust and ran through the streets yelling about the great discovery. The city of 850 people almost emptied after Brannan sold them each a very expensive shovel. Panning. And like in most places, the gold in California was not locked deep under the ground. Erosion had long ago washed the metal down the mountains into the rivers. All people needed for pleasure mining was a shovel and a shallow flat pan. Glacier mining works because gold is much heavier than gravel. The prospectors stood in the rivers and shoveled gravel into their pans. They removed large rocks, then carefully swirled the pan. The dirt and the gravel spilled over the edges. With the water, the shiny flakes of gold stayed at the bottom of the pan. People from California and Oregon soon showed up to work the rivers near Sutter's mill. Some of them were European and some were Native Americans. Others came from Mexico. Next came our prospectors from South America and Asia. At that time, it was easier to get California from China than from the East Coast. The 49ers. Back in the eastern states, gold fever didn't take hold until 1849. That year, 19,000 people joined the gold rush. These were the 49ers. The gold seekers were clerks, teachers, or lawyers. 9 out of 10 were men. Many couldn't cook, wash a shirt, build a shelters, or harness oxen to pull a wagon. Many left behind families. They planned to quickly make a fortune and come home. Around the tip, about half of the 49ers decided to go by ship. More than 500 ships left Eastern and the Gulf ports in 1849 to California. Ships took from 5 to 8 months to sail from the East Coast around the tip of South America and back up to California. The cheapest ticket was $75, about $2,300 in today's money. This price bought a tiny bunk in the dark. Crowded bottom of the ship food was just bad. the 49ers suffered shipwrecks, seasickness, and disease. Yet, many reported that the worst things were crowding and the bad boredom. Some decided to save time by taking a shortcut through Panama. They could canoe and hike across 60 miles of jungle, then catch another ship. These 49ers faced deadly snakes and the moths of mosquitoes. Many fell ill. If they made it across, they might wait weeks for months to catch a ship on the other side. Wagons whole. It took about the same amount of the time to get to California by wagon. Many looked forward to the adventure almost as much as the finding gold. The adventure, however, could prove deadly. Wagons followed the California Trail across the flat prairie. A wagon could go about 15 miles a day. If it didn't break down, if there wasn't much rain, and if the oxen stayed healthy. Next, the 49ers had to get the wagons up mountains, across rivers, and down steep cliffs. If they weren't fast enough, they were slowed by blizzards in the high passes. They also crossed desert with no water. For many, their greatest fear was clashes with the Native Americans, but death came from disease, starvation, and accidents. Often, the 49ers carried disease with them as they to California at thousands died. By the fall of 1849, the trail was lined with dead oxen and graves. The losers, the winners. For those who made it to California, life did not get easier. The prospectors lived in mining camps, made a tent and rough shelters. They ate poorly. They worked 12 hours a day, shoveling gravel or breaking rocks with the picks. Many fell ill, but they kept working. The next pan of gravel might be worth a fortune. According to the Sacramento Bee, 1 in every 5 miners who came to California in 1849 was dead within 6 months. Even those who found gold often lost it to robbers, gambling, or paying high prices for every goods. Some early prospectors were successful once the pleasure good was gone, though most of the riches from gold went to large companies. They were able to dig deep mines. Entrepreneurs made a fortune by selling to the miners. Sam Brannan became one of the first millionaires in America. Levi Strauss made his fortune selling pants, though enough to handle the work, blue jeans. Women especially had many more opportunities in the West. They started a business cooking, running, boarding houses, and washing clothes for the prospectors. The biggest winner was the United States. The Gold Rush brought about 300,000 people to California in a few years, instead of a few decades. In 1850, California became a state. By 1863, the country began building the railway that would link East and West. Today, California has more people than any of the other 49 states. It has a huge economy, and it still lives up to the nickname, the Golden State.